Nothing like an impromptu, barely there podcast. What we're going to do, what we're going to talk about, well, I don't know. We're going to go freestyle with this. We're going to be doing random things. It's going to be going on with it. I just wanted to make sure that we ended up getting something out there for it. So, welcome to the podcast. How's it going? Anything new? Let us know down in the comments down below. If you're catching this on YouTube, well, that's the only place you can capture us because that's all I was going over with it. We're ending up using StreamYard, going through that way, having a little bit of fun. I wanted to try using the StreamYard because, well, we have the rest of the month that we hadn't done anything, so might as well use it because it has cool little tools. So, with that being said, before I do anything, let's go ahead and show that you can use the code discount code of Jack to save $2 off over at Panelbound Comics. Well, I guess I should be saying if you're going shopping over at Panelbound Comics, picking up any kind of omnibus, any kind of trades or anything like that, use the discount code of Jack to save $2 off. Or if you have 4 or more books, use the discount code Jacket Together to save 5% off your entire order. That's right, 5%. Orders of $30 or more ends up getting some free medium mail shipping. That way you end up getting an awesome service and see how awesomely your books are going to be packed to make sure that you arrive the way that you want to right on your doorstep. All right, so let's get chatting. Let's get going on. Let's get figuring things out. What am I going to do? Well, I've been working on this little bit of a deck here. Let me see if I could end up sharing that real quick. Get her set up. Which I'm going to be sleeving this in the background. Is this my deck or is this the... Oh, that's Redbeard's deck. I don't want Redbeard's. I want my decks. So exciting. Going postal. Now, it's important to say this isn't an updated version of what I ended up having, but either way, we'll end up flying with it. So I'll go over here. I'll go percent. Share screen and share that. Perfect. I'm working on it going postal. What's that? Well, that's going to be because it's going to be Willie Lumpkin. I'm working on this guy. It's the newest set that came out from Magic the Gathering. And it is definitely something that I feel like that I ended up having since I work as a city carrier. Seems most understanding that I end up playing a postal character, I guess is the way to say it. But I know what the sad part is that it's in blue. I'm not very good at blue. I don't like blue. But that's, hey, we all got to branch out and try other things. So there was a couple different ways that you can end up going with it. You can end up going, this is a lot more creature heavy than what I have ended up building up. But you can also go Pillow Fort style. That goes over with it. Equipment style, aka Voltron. Or draw style, which you can end up seeing with Redbeard's copy of that. Let me see if I can slide on over. Mail delivery. And I'll stop sharing that one real quick. Ooh, that's trippy. Get to play around with that. There we go. Okay. We'll stop sharing the screen and we'll share real quick Mr. Redbeard's. So Robert Redbeard's, his deck is what he ends up having. This, I don't know if he's updated it or anything like that. This is strictly a copy of it because I was going to end up trying to make my own version of it. And it seemed like a good idea of trying with a good base. And that's what he ended up providing, was a solid base that goes along with it. So with that being said, His is more draw fuel, so more Hugsy event that comes over with it. Yes, he has some good stuff that's inside this, but I feel like there's a good solid build that starts off with that. I wonder how much is Horde and Greed of the other version, but okay. Oop, oop. Hushy hush. Hushy hush hush hush. So I kind of made it a little bit different that goes along with that. Solid deck, though, that goes along has a bunch of, well, the main thing is like I don't have a Master of Ceremonies, so I didn't end up going that way. I didn't have that, which isn't a bad cost deck. But there is a lot of different things that's inside this deck that I ended up making. Let me see if I could quickly make a copy of it, of what I've been brewing up here. Been doing this all through an app. So duplicate. Cancel. I read a clipboard. New deck. None. Paste in a list. Great. What is okay? Boop, boop, boop. This is so exciting. I know. Great deck. Where are you at, Willie? And so is Commander. Perfect. So let's dive in and see what we ended up brewing up. Any comments why that we're waiting? No, nope. Okay. So we'll go over here, go here, stop sharing screen, share screen. Oh, might help if I go actually to the decks I was looking for. Your decks. Postal delivery. Postal delivery. Boop, 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 boop. Share screen. So here is not what I was hoping for. That's going postal. I'm going to close that down. We're going to go share screen. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So Willie Lumpkin. If you don't know what Lily does, well, I'm going to let you know then. So it costs a white and a blue for 1-3. That's right. Has a little bit big booty. Don't be judging. Willie Lumpkin can't be blocked, so that makes these unblockable. Whenever Willie Lumpkin deals combat damage to an opponent, you draw a card, and that player may draw a card. If they do, that player can't attack you or permit you control during your next turn. Here's where I love this card. Right here in the flavor text. This is going to be perfectly that goes on there. Neither snow, nor rain, nor Doombots, nor Galactus stays him from his appointed rounds. That's right. We ended up having some rounds that comes over with it. No sleet, no snow, no rain can end up stopping the post office. So we end up having that going on with that, and we have a whole bunch of synergies with it. So Willie Lumpkin ends up, if they end up drawing a card, it kind of gives you a nice little pillow, right? So what's better than one pillow? Multiple pillows. So we have stuff like Ghostly Prison that they have to pay to attack you. Propaganda. Some more stuff that makes the shenanigans where they have to pay to be able to attack you. And we don't stop there. We have some artifacts that play some roles into it. Crawl space, which allows only no more than 2 creatures can attack you this combat. Or the final, and then we have Windborn Muse, where they have to pay 2 to be able to attack. And Silent Arbiter, where it makes it no more than 1 creature can attack each combat. No more than 1 creature can block each combat. So that's a really way to limit the stuff. So that we like to call that a pillow fort style that goes over with it. We also have some bunch of draw fuel that goes along where we're drawing stuff, they're drawing stuff. Cave of the Full Fancies or Folio of the Fancies ends up making sure we don't have a maximum card or hand size, which is perfect. Everyone has no maximum hard hands. But we also have stuff that makes you pay for whenever you draw or whenever I draw. Psychosis Crawler is like one of those. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Okay. Scrawling Crawler, at the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. Sounds good, right? Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses a life. So we're making them draw cards where they're losing lives. We got that going on. If stuff gets too out of hand with that, we have stuff like Cleansing Nova, Single Combat, and Time Wipe to be able to sacrifice or to be able to wipe out the board, trying to slow it on down. We got multiple ways to make sure that we don't have a card hand that we can end up going with it. Plus, with Willie Lumpkin, I figure he's going to be our lightning rod for removal. So I kind of went a little bit different style with it. I went with the Umbras because if an enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all that damage from it and destroy this aura. So it's a good way of protecting Willie Lumpkin. So we went with a few auras. You have 1, 2, 3. 3 auras that we end up having in there to give them protection. But we didn't just stop there. You also have like the Gift of Immortality that ends up going with that. And then you end up having stuff that ends up giving hexproof is another thing that you end up having. Hexproof. Swiftfoot Boots. You have protections from colors. If I had more swords, I would put more swords in this. But this is also a solid color rating that we can end up going. Red for most of the removal that could go on. Green for the big, nasty tanks that you can end up having. Granted, yes, he is unblockable, so they can't end up blocking. But maybe we want to keep him back for blocking. So if we do want to keep him blocking, you know what the best thing is for that? Vigilance. So like these Bladed Bracers, which are cheap, and be able to put them on there, makes it so that we can end up keeping him, well, unblockable because it gives us vigilance. So that's another way to be able to keep that going on. Soul Ring. There's a couple different ones that we have. Avacyn's Collar is another way that gives vigilance. And there is one more I can think of that we have is a Ring of Thune, where it gets vigilance, plus it gets a +1/+1 if it's a white creature. Well, counter. So each time we go over with it, we could slowly end up building that up, kind of slowly getting our commander damage up there. One of our Umbras ends up giving it pseudo vigilance, where we could pay 3, a blue and 2, to untap it to gain vigilance, pretty much, where we can untap them. It's a nice solid way that we can end up having that going on. some shenanigans, a lot of stuff. We have a lieutenant commander that's inside this deck where you end up having the second doctor as the other choice that we can end up having. I guess you could also have Spider-Woman, Stunning Savior. That's another way that you can end up going. You have a couple different ones where you can keep this being blue-white. That's something I want to always end up liking. But let's be honest, we're here for Willie. So that's what we're going to end up doing, Big Willie style. All right. So that covers the deck that we're going to end up doing. I'm going to stop sharing that real quick. And I'll set it up and we'll talk about panel bound comics. That's right. We're going to talk about the old PBC here. Share screen. Share it. Perfect. Dope. So if you haven't realized it, Panel Bound Comics ends up having a couple special ones that's going to be coming out. You have that Poison Ivy, the deluxe edition that's going to be coming out in October. That's an exclusive cover for Panel Bound Comics. You have Detective Comics, the omnibus that comes over with it. That's coming out in September. Oh, I got to pick up that bad boy. And then you also have the art of Tyler Kirkham, the slipcase with the Panel Bound Comics exclusive as well. Solid pickup, solid books. It looks amazing. I think that's going to be something that I'm going to be interested into. Oh, I thought there was this thing going on. Let's go home. Yep. 50% off DC books. The July sale is still going on. Ooh, this should have been done in June. Either way, you got some bangers that's inside here. Again, you can use the discount code of FitFitJack to save $2 off. If you put 4 or more of these books, you can use the code Jacket together to save 5%. Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, perfect pickup. I know they just had the movie. I haven't really watched it. Wait a minute. Okay, it's just a July sale. Okay. I was going to say, because we have Marvel, we got Indies, you got all different things that's in here. Lazarus by Rucka, Descender, Die. Just picked that, or I have that reading, and I'm in the process of reading. Friday by Brubaker. Ooh, that's a good deal, actually. That's half off. Oh. So you got some good deals that you got going on the site itself. Solid pickups that you can end up having options for. The Knives. A criminal book. Razor Blades. Fantastic Four. Solid stuff that we got ended up going on right now. Something that you may not realize, but we got a new reader recommendation area, and your boy is into the list. You have JP, which is the owner of Panel Bound Comics, the comic book report. That's Dom walking over with his stuff. Comics are dope. That's BJ Kicks, and there we are. The Bears Lair, where we end up having a bunch of books that we have listed, and we also end up having videos that go strictly over there. I have no clue who are this BC Graham's top 10 is, but maybe I'll adventure and try finding out who it is. But if we click this little view all, I don't know if the video, he hasn't updated the video yet. I ended up sending the link of the video that we ended up having. But there is a video, if you look down in our playlist of our top 10 books for new readers, that's going to be coming right on over here. This is going to be explaining why each book that we ended up putting on there is on that list. So, with that being said, let's talk about the subject that we're looking at. Something that I wanted to talk about, which I'm probably going to push that off for next month, is going to be adaptations. I would like to talk about the different adaptations that you can end up seeing. You have some positive ones, you have some good ones, you have some negative ones, you got some different ones that goes on with it. It's going to be something that I want to be trying to juice out a little bit more along with that route, be talking about it. A couple of them that comes to mind is the X-Men, the animated show. You have the adaptations of that show, but you also have the adaptations from Batman, the animated show. You have that going on. And then another one that comes to my mind, the final one, is going to be Thundercats, where you have a few issues from that omnibus that they ended up coming out with, the classic years, where they have some episodes that were adapted over into the comic book area. So with that being said, I think that's something that's going to be talked about next month. So that's going to be a conversation that we're going to continue over, and we're going to keep over with that. We do have a Single Sundays that's coming back up and roaring. This week, just give you a heads up, it's a little bit of a lighter week for us to be able to pick up for our poll. We did have some shenanigans that we ended up doing and pulling out with. The poll list, or not the poll list, but our haul is going to be next week, where we end up picking up everything that we ended up hauling this month. So in the entire month of June, we ended up having that. I'm also saving a book to be popped open, or a box to be open on that video, to be able to add to that list that we ended up hauling. I did pick up the Apocalypse, or the Age of Apocalypse omnibus. However, there has been an allocation to Panelbound Comics, so that's not going to be coming, or my copy is not going to be coming until October, because I'd rather have the people that are going to be ripping that bad boy open and reading it immediately be able to get their copy. And to be completely honest, I'm in no big rush. I got tons of stuff. I am looking forward to reading that, but I got to read through the X-Men first, because I would like to see the differences that we end up having in the Age of Apocalypse. Get more familiar with the characters and going over with that. Something that we could check into is how our list is going. And so let me check out the post. So we're going to go StreamYard. We're going to go sharing. Share screen. Bear's Lair. Perfect. If you happen to go over on our feed right now, we have a post where this is going to close, or this has closed that we have shut down. So what we're going to have, it looks like for sure out of this poll, Batman is moving on. We're going to take these characters and be able to figure out what we're going to have represent the entire year of 2027. We're going to read, at least try to get one review a month of each of these characters that's going to be planned out. We had 2 different waves. We're going to have the top 2 move on. However, the first week that we ended up doing that came to a 3-way tie, and it looks like second place has a tie of 2. So you know what that means? That means we're going to end up trying to roll for it. So what we're going to end up doing is, let me see if I can get it on roller. Online dice roller. All right. RolliDie.net. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Let's go to the previous week that we're going to cover with it. So we got Daredevil, IDW, TMNT, and Thor all having a tie at 33%. So what we ended up doing is we're going to have 1 through 2 end up being Daredevil. 3 for 4 is going to be TMNT. And 5 through 6 is going to be Thor. So whichever of these, we have 2 of them in total that we're going to end up having. That it has to win twice, not twice in a row, just twice that goes over with it. And then whoever ends up making it through there will end up being in our final 4. So with that being said, let me stop sharing this one and we'll slide on over to this roll a die, since I don't really have a good cam to be able to go hooked up with this. All right, so we have a 6-sided die, like I said. 1 through 2 is going to be Daredevil. 2 through 3 from 4 is going to be TMNT, and 5 through 6 is going to be Thor. They have to have 2 wins that goes over with it. And here we go. Starting right off the get-go. Start. Wow. Oh, 3. So that's the first one for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Maybe I should get some paper and make sure I keep that. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is on the board. Start rolling. Get rolling. Get going. Go, go, go. And stop. 4. All right. Looks like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first made it. Now it's between Thor and Daredevil. So we're going to keep on rolling with this. So it goes on with it. We need either 1 through 2 or 5 through 6. Look right at you and boop. Thor has 1 vote. And here we go. Rolling, 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 rolling. Oh, Daredevil has a vote. All right. Before I roll this last one to figure out who won, what do we want? Do you want Thor? Do you want Daredevil? Fun part is Daredevil was the reason that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ended up making. They ended up making it as a fun influence. But then you also want the God of Thunder. Huh? Either way, let's find out. The only way we're going to do it is by rolling. Looking, looking, looking. And this is going to decide who's going to move on to next week. And in 3, 2, 1, bam. Oh. Reroll. Re-rolling. Teenage Mutant Turtles definitely is going to end up making it. And stop. Thor it is. Looks like we're not going to have Daredevil versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It looks like it's going to be Thor. All right. So we're going to stop sharing real quick. And we're going to come back over here. Share the screen. Back to the Bear's Lair. So it looks like we're going to have Thor and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to make it into the next round. No love for Black Panther. Wow. All right. So this got a little heated for a hot second. First one's going to end up automatically going to be making it is Batman. Batman's going to end up making it. And at 22%, we have X-Men or Spider-Man. That's an interesting thing. Let me see what kind of dice that we can end up rolling over on this dice roller. So we can roll a D4. So that's what we're going to end up doing. We're going to have 1 and 2 be Spidey, and 3 and 4 be X-Men. I'm kind of surprised Wolverine didn't get any more love, but maybe people figure since it's X-Men going to be on the list, so maybe. Same thing. First one that gets 2 roles or wins 2 roles ends up moving on. We only got to do it once because we only have 1 tie. So let's get this started. Start. And we're going to get Spidey. All right, that's 1 for Spidey. Can Spidey win it, or is the X-Men going to make a roll to it? Give it a little extra roll. Which one do you want to win it? Which one are you hoping on moving on? Spidey or X-Men? Let us know down in the comments down below. And stop. Spidey has it. So it looks like the new poll is going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Thor, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Thor versus Spidey versus Batman. I have a feeling the Dark Knight's going to make it just by how the bias of the votes goes over. But either way, you never know. More people can end up voting. More people can end up coming over with the one side with that. So what we end up having, I'll have that poll roll out tomorrow, and we'll end up continuing it, and we'll keep that going for 2 weeks. 2 weeks to decide the fate of the Bear's Lair for 2027 of what books we're going to end up reading. It's important to say we also have a video breaking down each different waves. And if that's something that you want to be done with this one, I can also do that as well. Just let us know down in the comments down below. So with that being figured out, we got that going on. So what did we do? We checked on the sales from PBC. We ended up figuring out what books are going to be moving on this week. Excuse me. We also talked about what's going on, or gave a little heads up for the single Sundays. And then we also went over a quick deck tech. I'm planning on getting a little bit more experience. Once I get a little bit more experience with that deck, we'll end up juicing that out. It's important to say the breakdowns are still going to continue. I have a script for the next wave of breakdowns of Thundercats X Silverhawks. So we're going to end up having that coming eventually. I just need to end up getting the photos set up for it. And I also have the next level script in the works for the next one. The next ones are going to be a little bit easier because we break it down to 3 issues. Instead of having like 10 different issues, that's going to be a little bit easier. I got to get a good roll on and get that, make sure I end up doing that and getting that juiced right out, because next month is the end of that event. And it's also important to say that's also the end of Declan Shelby on Thundercats. Thank you. Appreciate what you ended up doing. And now we're getting Red Pack coming on over. That's right. The person that ended up having World Breaker Hulk being involved is taking over Lionel. And it's a story that I'm a little bit excited to be able to see, because this is going to be something that we haven't seen before. If we're going by the covers, I know you don't judge a book by its cover, but it's so hard when you end up having comics, and we do it all the time. It looks like old Lionel is becoming a barbarian style. So I can't wait to see the mistakes, the bumps in the road. I don't care whatever the story is. I can't wait to see what kind of story, what kind of additions we're going to end up having with that. So I would like to invite you guys to join us in the process of that. If you like the breakdown series, let me know, because that's something that I'm interested into. Not just with Thundercats. I was thinking about doing that with other books. Any kind of suggestions that you may have that may end up helping out. I was thinking about going with like a trade paperback style that they end up going with, covering those issues, such as, like, I keep on going back over Thundercats. It's like the first 6 issues, I believe, and then keep on breaking from there. That's definitely something I'm definitely interested in doing. I was thinking about the Absolute Universe for a couple of seconds, because I got a lot into Batman and Wonder Woman. I didn't go into Superman, and the other ones didn't have my interest as much. However, Absolute Green Arrow has caught a little bit of interest from me. I like what we end up having in the story wise. Plus, I find it a little bit better to have more of the story instead of having to wait for month to month that comes over and you kind of forget what's going on. So it's a great way to be able to refresh and keep up with the storylines. So having multiple issues plugged together, I think would be a great addition. And maybe that might be something that you're interested into. So with that said, I think it's time to wrap up this show and call her good. So thank you for watching. And until next time, oh, that was the Barely There podcast episode number 7 of Barely There podcast over on the Bears Lair. And until next time, we'll see you later. In stream.